Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody. We acknowledge the land upon which we work and live, the First Nations and their nations, and recognize their connection to the land, water, and community. We continue to learn, listen, and grow together. So in saying that, call the meeting in order and approval of the agenda, please.
Be it hereby resolved that the agenda for the September 17th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as printed and circulated.
Okay, can I get a mover or a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Oh, not seeing any. And minutes from September 3rd.
Be it hereby resolved that the minutes of the September 3rd regular meeting of council be adopted as printed and circulated.
Okay, mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Not seeing any. And a public meeting.
Be it hereby resolved that council move into committee of adjustment at 4:01 p.m. That's it.
That's it. That was quick. Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay. I'm officially opening this public meeting, which is being held under the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing minor variance applications and allowing any person in attendance the opportunity to make a presentation to council. I would like to ask those in attendance that if they wish to receive notification of the committee's decision, they should sign the sheet on the shelf by the door at the rear of the room. I would like to advise those in attendance that the Ontario Land Tribunal has the power to dismiss an appeal if an appellant has not provided the committee with oral submissions at a public meeting or written submission before a decision has been rendered by the committee. Pursuant to recent changes under Bill 185, appeals are now generally limited to the applicant, a registered owner, a public body, specific persons, or the minister. I would now ask committee members to state any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. And I'm not seeing any. There is one application to be heard today, MVA 04-25 for Mike and Paula Johnson for a property located at 110 Main Street South in Princeton, I guess. And Dustin, could you present that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, members of council, staff, and those in attendance here today. The subject application is related to a property that's approximately 1,770 meters square and currently zoned R1 in Princeton. Currently on the property is a single detached dwelling and a detached garage. The proposal in front of you here today is for a variance to facilitate an addition to the existing single detached dwelling on the rear of the dwelling itself. Two variances are being requested. One is to recognize the existing lot size, which is 1,770 meters square, whereas the R1 zoning requires 2,800 meters square. And the second variance is to recognize the existing 40-meter lot depth, whereas 50 meters is required. In terms of comments received through the internal circulation, one comment was received by the township's chief building official, who did indicate that confirmation of the rear yard setback for the addition that's being proposed shall be confirmed by a qualified individual. Regarding our analysis, we do note that all other zoning requirements such as setbacks, height, lot coverage along those lines are being met. So the question, why are we here today? Well, it has to come back with the wording in our zoning bylaw when it deals with what's called non-complying uses. So a non-complying use would be something that's a permitted use, but it doesn't meet all zoning requirements, and that could be setbacks, heights. In this case, it's your lot depth and your lot area. So the wording in the bylaw says that any addition or extension shall not contravene any zoning bylaws. Well, unfortunately, lot depth and lot area must be looked at with that wording, and this would not comply with that. Some other municipalities use different wording, and now I will touch upon that at the end, but we have to deal with what's in front of us in the bylaw today. So as I said, no additional variances are being requested. It's simply to recognize the lot for how it exists today. The chief building official also reviewed the lot for septic concerns and did not relay any back to myself. And in reviewing the application with the addition, in our opinion, this is going to continue with the necessary spacing and characteristics that exist along Main Street in Princeton as today. So we are here to recommend approval of the variances as they have been presented. Now, just getting back to the wording, what I would say to council, as I did mention, some municipalities have different wording for situations like this. For one example, East or Tavistock uses language similar to Blandford Blenheim, but for residential uses, it says that such extensions or additions on non-complying uses shall not further contravene zoning bylaw requirements. So in this case, you wouldn't need to get a variance because you're not further contravening what exists there today. Where if you had a situation where it was a non-complying use, didn't meet the required rear yard setback, and let's say they wanted to put an addition on and it made this setback even worse, well then that would need a variance in that situation. So we've added this to our ongoing list of issues to discuss during the next housekeeping bylaw. Now, we'll be transparent. We don't have a timeline for that. It's not in the immediate future, but it's something that we certainly can discuss when the housekeeping bylaw does come for council's consideration. But getting back to the matter at hand, as I did say, we are here to recommend approval for the variance as proposed.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Does the applicant have any comments or anything to say concerning the application, the recommendation, or the conditions outlined in the report?
Nothing more than what Dustin said.
Okay, thank you. Do any members of the committee have any questions or comments they wish to make? No? I don't think that's something we don't get very many of these, do we? No. Okay. Is there any person from the audience who wishes to provide comments in support or opposition of this application? And if so, please state your name and address as you rise to speak to this issue. Not seeing anybody. Okay, is there a verbal motion from the committee to accept the application with conditions noted or denied on the application? Okay, moved by Councillor to approve. Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments on it at all? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's unanimous. And there is a 20-day appeal period on that. Okay, thank you.
All rise from the committee.
Yeah.
Be it hereby resolved that the committee rise at 4:07 p.m. and that open council meeting resumes.
Okay, can I get a mover and a second for that, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, thank you. All right, we're in delegations, and our first one is Colleen Sarkisian, I think, and Sharon Jenny. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to come to council and speak to our request. We provided a package a few weeks ago about what we want to speak to, and that is a proposal to recognize or designate a section of Blenheim Road into our family name. Our family has been long-standing citizens dating back to 1853, all born and raised in the area and farmed along this section of Blenheim Road. In the package that we had provided, it gives the legacy of 8 generations of Bockwills, and we've included the section of road that we're speaking to, and hoping that something like this can be done. I know it's not a new road to be named, but a section that can be designated that our generations now can not enjoy, but understand what we're doing to recognize the family.
So the first proposal that we had was to rename between concession 8 and concession 5, not rename, but like dedicate that section, because that's where the lots that are part of our family are located, and there's natural breaks in that road at both of those ends. So we felt that that would be a good place for it to start and finish. At first, we were looking at doing Bockwell Road, but we want to reiterate that the proposal would not be to like change any civic addresses or cause any problems with 911 numbers, all that kind of stuff. It's just for significance, like a sign to acknowledge the family name. The second proposal would be, instead of the section of road, more the kind of four corners at the bottom where the bend comes around on concession 7. Again, that's where kind of all of the properties are condensed, and we were thinking of maybe Bockwell's Bend or something to that effect. So again, Sharon said that that area started back in 1953 with our first ancestor who came from Devonshire, England, and settled on that lot there. And for 170 years, that area has expanded to now include the farm down across from the Silver Bridge, and it also includes the farm across the road. That's been in our family for that long. So I just wanted to outline a couple significant points that have happened on these lots. When it was first settled, the farming that they did was on 8 acres, and it was apples, grapes, and hops used for cider, ale, and baking. And the son, interestingly enough, when he was 13, he cleared the remaining acres while his father went back to England, which, you know, surprises me that at 13, you know, they had that responsibility back then. And then they also expanded to include cows and horses, sheep, pigs, chickens, and geese. Later on, in the 1917 to 1963 era, they expanded to Ayrshire cows, and they also erected one of the first cement silos in the area. In 1966, they added a milk house from part of the former Canadian Pacific Station at Drumbo to house the bulk milk tank. The other property that's on the east side of the road, it's been in the family since 1875. My great-grandfather purchased that from his father, and then it kind of went down the line for there, and it's mostly been cash crop throughout the years. And then it sold most recently to a cousin who now runs the farm. There's also one more lot that is part of this, and that was the one that I said that's down across from the Nith River, the old Gibson farm. And it was purchased to expand the home farm, essentially. There's a couple other properties that, through doing the research for this, it was kind of interesting that I had no idea, which was kind of neat to find out. In the second generation, apparently we had a relative that had run the flour and grist mill that was part of the Peace Haven camp in Moscow, which I didn't know we had a connection to. And then my great-grandfather also ran the general store over in Wolverton, which I wasn't aware of either. So a couple closely related properties as well that kind of speak to this area that we're talking about. Did you want to do this one?
So with the legacy of the Bockwell family, it dates back to essentially 1864 with the Oxford Milita, and then over the years with our great-grandfather serving as councillor, Reeve, county warden for the township. He committed 25 years in the role of a tax collector. not retiring until he was 75. Following in his father's footsteps, our grandfather Herb Bockwell served on Township Council for 25 years, holding positions of Councillor Reeve and Road Superintendent. Community involvement, the family's always been involved in the mid-1980s, fourth and fifth generations. Herb and Larry Bockwell, instrumental in founding Oxford and District Men's Choir. Again, family tradition of serving the community through music and fellowship. And then our father, Larry, long life dedication with the Jumbo Lions Club. I think he's been on for 55 years, served as president 5 times. Countless volunteer hours, projects, fundraising initiatives, and strengthening the fabric of the Jumbo community. So by designating this section of road, again, it's a legacy to the generations of the family, and we're hoping that council can give consideration for something like this. We understand this is something maybe the township hasn't done before, but we do know other municipalities have recognition designations for sections of roadway. One that come across was in Brant County. There's Ron Eady?
Ron
Eddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know it's I'm not sure if it's an entire road section or it's a nice big plaque that designates that area for their contributions to the community.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Any questions from council? Go ahead.
I do have some questions. I'm not sure where my questions really will land, because they might not be for you ladies, but I'm wondering if this is something the township has ever done, or if this is something that's, I don't know if there is.
Not that I'm aware of anywhere. Other than street names and villages, that's the only thing I've ever heard of.
Because that's what I was thinking, like we have the naming policy that we add names to a list for future developments or things like that. So that's kind of what I was thinking. And when I look at these, my question is, I don't know that I can place one that I've seen anywhere, not just in our township, but anywhere. So I wrote down the one in Brant. So if you're driving on that section, we wouldn't have another street sign name that would be confusing, or is that what you're
No,
thinking?
and I think that's why when we first started, we were thinking of actually naming the road, and then we thought the same thing, it might get confusing or whatever. But if we did it more as a recognition area, similar to like when you go into Windfall or Moscow or whatever, there's just like a sign that, recognizes the area. And from our perspective, we were thinking of that area specifically because, like, say, all of up until Dad were actually born, like at home on the farm type of thing, and that's the area that, means a lot to them. And also because going through a normal naming process, obviously, until you build or whatever, could take however long before we, could get to that. And this is something we were just kind of hoping that maybe could happen, that they would get to see it. Like, they know nothing about this.
Yeah.
This is
Like a
completely,
This
We're hoping a surprise.
Yeah.
is all recorded too, just let you know.
Yeah.
And the press may have it in the paper next week too, just let
Unless I can get to them first.
yes.
Okay, I was just wondering, because when I see this, I think this could be really confusing if I'm driving down Blenheim Road and then I see another road sign and I'm like, what road am I at? But
Right.
you're kind of thinking it could just be, even when, I think the Optimist has, you can get a road, like River Road in Placerville has like a sponsored, adopted road that you should go when you see this sign saying
Yeah.
this section of road is,
More of a heritage type
Right.
type black.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's like the one in Brant says Ron Eddy Way, and then it just says,
Something like
Oh, that's what I was wondering.
something like
Okay,
that.
Okay.
thank you.
Councillor Banbury.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, is your first preference Bockwell Road, or is Bockwell's Bend your second preference, or? I kind of go with Bockwell's Bend, because you kind of have property on each corner.
yeah.
Well, you do, I guess. So, would that be amenable for.
Yes.
And like I say, we're completely open to suggestions, options.
I think Tina's made a good point, like with GPS nowadays, it's very easy when you have a road named one thing and the road is another thing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the Mayor of Blandford and I, we got going down a farmer's lane when we were trying to get to the Guelph Lake Nature Center a week or so ago. So we were lost, but anyway, that's where the GPS sent us.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got back on track and got there. But that's what I'm thinking about, because just minor things like that, you change the name of a road, and if it ever ends up on GPS, whatever that is, it would be a little confusing. Whereas just Bockel's Bend, maybe you could even add a little plaque or something to that as well.
Yeah, and that's why we kind of changed gears as we were doing this, because we were discussing, maps would have to be changed and GPS, so that's
People's
why we kind of
addresses, we
backed,
didn't want that.
backed away from the maybe Bockel Road, but something like you say, Bockel's Bend, Bockel Hill, Bockel,
This one gets my vote.
That's what I always called it, was Bockwell Hill.
yeah.
The locals, I mean, as time goes on, right, it's like
My mom's house that's not in our family anymore. It'll always be the Peterson home for
Exactly.
all of us
Exactly.
locals until someday, but,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else from council? So I know the recommendation is to, where are we here? The council provide direction to staff regarding the dedication request. That's what the recommendation is in here. Have staff come back with something? Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to see something back from the staff and what that would look like, or what that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, just ask this question now, is this something that the family was going to purchase? Is that your plan, or is it something you want the township to put up, or how? Because I know that question's going to come up.
It's going to come up, and we didn't know how all this worked.
Yeah.
Who would, but we open to discussing how
Okay.
the logistics works of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that can maybe be part of the report that comes back to us, so, okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Anything else from council? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that the delegation from Colleen Sarkisian and Sharon Jenny née Bockwell be received as information, and further, that council direct staff to bring a report regarding the request at a future meeting.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councilor Banbury, second by Councilor Barnes. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay. All right, and our next delegation is Terry McDougall. And another naming one today. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor, councilors, for providing me this opportunity to be here today and speak. I am here on behalf of the Plattsville Lions Club. I have the support of my club. We've had discussions, and they know I'm here doing this. I've been an active member since December of 2018. I am currently in my third year as president of the club, and I'm also one of the regional chairs for our district. When you are out for a drive going through small towns, what do you see in a lot of those towns? You see Lions Arena, Lions Park, Lions Pool, Lions Splash Pad, Lions Halls, Lions Pavilions. In Plattsville, the Lions have a room on the second floor of the arena for our meetings. We meet twice a month. They're out of sight, out of mind, but they are great. It's greatly appreciated to have. We love having our meetings in there. I am here today to speak about the pavilion, which is behind the arena in Plattsville. And this is the pavilion in Plattsville. We truly value the work the township has done to maintain and improve the park, especially the pavilion, which is a well-used and much appreciated part of the community. We see it as a real asset, not just structurally, but socially, as it brings people together from family gatherings to community events, such as in Drumbo. They have a pavilion which is built by the Lions and owned by the township. This is the one in Drumbo. The Lions Club has a long-standing tradition of community service and supporting public spaces such as this. As part of our ongoing commitment to improving the community and efforts to give back, we have a proposal. Specifically, we would like a naming partnership for the pavilion. We would like to call it something along the lines of Plattsville and District Lions Club Pavilion, Lions Pavilion, in recognition of our support, a visible sign of our partnership with the township. I want to emphasize that this proposal would in no way affect township ownership or control of the pavilion, which it currently has. The township would continue to own, maintain the space. We're only looking for naming rights to the pavilion. We are open to assisting with managings or bookings. In return, we'd be happy to cover the cost of signage and paint. We'd like to paint a portion to reflect the Lions colors, blue and gold, to make it a little bit more bright and welcoming in the park. We would also provide a few more benches, one specifically in memoriam of Gwen Parker, a long-standing Lion and member in our community. We are also in support of discussing further ways we might support the pavilion, whether through small financial contributions, future maintenance, assistance, or community programming. We are flexible and want this to work for everybody involved. The park has made some nice improvements over the last few years: the splash pad, the playground, the court, the ball diamond. We'd like to brighten up the pavilion and make the whole area even more inviting than what it is now. The pavilion is well used. It's enjoyed by the community. Together we can foster a greater sense of community pride and show how local organizations such as the Lions and local government can work hand in hand. We believe this is a win-win proposal. It encourages local civic partnership between township and the Lions Service Club. It adds a visible example of service in the township. We are more than happy to discuss details, get feedback, or make adjustments to make this work. I do thank you for providing me this opportunity to speak and bring this before you. I am open to any questions or comments.
Okay, thank you very much, Terry. Any questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Young.
Again, my question may not be for Terry specifically, but for, as a whole, we'll see where it lands. I think when we think about in the small towns that have the Lions splash pad and park and pavilions, largely the Lions Club has raised funds for those assets or those contributions. So like we have the Drumbo splash pad and the Lions Club, or the Drumbo Lions splash pad, or whatever it's named. But they raised a lot of that money for that to go into the park. So I think like that's a piece of, I think there's lots of opportunity in Plattsville to provide things that the community could benefit from. I think the benches are a great idea. I think picnic tables are a great opportunity. But I wonder, historically, as a township, how have we approached naming facilities or buildings that we have structures?
I'll maybe kind of step in. Just I'm a Lions member in Drumbo, so I guess on the lines of what you mentioned, I think most of the things, just thinking off the top of my head, were something that the Lions Club put in, like that pavilion they put their logo on it, ballpark fences and the splash pad, that kind of thing. So I think that's where most of it has been from something that they had put in. I'm just trying to think of anything else. I just, off the top of my head, I don't know, maybe Trevor, can you think of anything in our...
No, the Friends of Princeton Park with them, like Princeton, they
Yeah.
think that.
Yeah.
But usually the group puts funding towards the project. The group comes up with the project, and then the group will hand
Yeah.
over to the township once it's done.
Yeah.
There'll be a name for it put on.
Yeah.
For that.
Now I'm just I know in here the recommendation as well as to have is to have staff come back with a report as well to give us an idea, and maybe that's something we can, maybe that's the best way. Councillor Banbury?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, is the organization proposing to carry on maintenance over in perpetuity, or is that going to be the township's responsibility when it needs a new roof or a new whatever?
I know that in my proposal, I did mention that, and I did speak to this with our club. Our club is curious too. The structure is already there. We're not looking to take over the structure. We're just looking to paint it, have more of a Lions appearance, and do some light maintenance to it. We're willing to paint it at our cost. The roof is solid. It's metal. We're not going to touch that. But like the posts and the beams, the blues and the golds, any light maintenance work, we'd be more than happy to take care of. I understand that a lot of small communities, like in the Drumble Lions, built a pavilion. In our case, we already have a pavilion. We're just looking to fix it up and use what we have there already, and that keeps everyone's costs down in the long run.
Thanks. Mr. Mayor, do we have any kind of a naming policy period for,
I'm sure we probably do, but
or should
Yeah,
we,
certainly.
should we establish one, or if we don't have one, or?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, and to Councillor Banbury. So council did adopt an asset naming policy. It's had a few different iterations, but I was just reviewing it in its current form, and I would say there are provisions that align generally with, I would say, both of the requests that we've received this evening. And I think that would maybe be some good discussion for staff to include in those follow-up reports, just as, how the requests align with that asset naming policy, sort of what the standard process would be, and then we might be able to speak to what's been customary outside of the asset naming policy recently.
Yeah.
Could there be like a time limit on a naming policy, like you'd be their name for 10 years or 20 years or whatever? Is that in part of the policy? No?
It's not that specific. I would say right now the policy, the real purpose of it is to create that asset naming inventory. I think it's really geared towards future road names in the context of subdivision development, but it does speak to all facilities, but it doesn't add that level of detail that you're looking for.
Yeah, I know when we did the arena and put the hall upstairs, we allowed the Lions Club to put their name on it. So I guess that is an instance where they didn't build it, but they were allowed to put their name on it. I can't remember how many years ago that was. I know you were on, Bruce. So, but
I actually don't see a big problem.
12 years ago?
But,
2012. Well,
we have to
13
be
years.
careful setting precedent, I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the best thing is the same thing as we direct staff to bring us back a report on what their thoughts are and go from there, if council's okay with that. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors,
Thank
for your time.
Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that the delegation from Terry McDougall, President of the Plattsville Lions Club, be received as information, and further, that council directs staff to bring a report regarding the request to a future meeting.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. Any comments? No? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you. And our third delegation is Kimberly Earls from SCORE. Are you Kimberly?
I am.
And what's your name?
I'm Jennifer Kyle.
Jennifer. Okay, welcome both of you.
Thank you.
Yep. And go ahead.
You're better at that than I am. I'm Kimberly Earls. I'm the Executive Director of SCORE Economic Development Corporation. And with me this afternoon is our Vice Chair, Jennifer Kyle, and I'll turn it over to Jennifer to get us rolling this evening.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, Mayor Peterson and Council. Thank you very much for having us. My name, as Kim mentioned, is Jennifer Kyle, and I'm the Vice Chair of the SCORE Board of Directors. I'm also a councillor for the County of Brant, home of the Ron Eddy Way that we heard about earlier. And not only am I a councillor, but I work for the Beef Farmers of Ontario, where I'm the Manager of Public Engagement, and my husband and I also have a dairy farm in a part of Brant County that you folks would be very familiar with, as we're right across the road from the 1909 schoolhouse right on the Brant-Oxford Road. So certainly very familiar and have a front row seat to good working relationships between municipalities, as it's actually Blandford Blenheim that looks after the road where we are, and some of the other services we provide. So Kim and I have a bit of a slide deck here we're going to go through. We'll try and be brief so that there's some time for questions at the end. So just to kick things off, if we can go to the first slide there, I'm guessing that most of you around this table are familiar with SCORE, the South Central Ontario Region Economic Development Corporation. We were started in 2010, and it came about as the tobacco industry was dissolved and the Sand Plains Fund was put in place to help to diversify the regional economies and prepare for a prosperous future. So we can go to the next slide. So the structure of SCORE, again, you're likely familiar. It starts with the county partners, Brant, Elgin, Middlesex, Norfolk, and Oxford counties. From there is a board of directors that's appointed. Then below that is our executive director, Kim, who manages the Resource Advisory Committee, the Ministry of Stakeholder Resources, as well as the SCORE staff. So the current chair of the board is Ed Ketchba, myself as the vice chair, and then our treasurer is Deb Gilvasi from Oxford County, and the other Oxford County rep is Bernia Martin, who I also know very well, as she owns the schoolhouse across the road. So go to the next slide, please. As far as the regional strategy for SCORE, our priorities tend to focus around sort of these three main priorities, which are infrastructure required to support the economic development of the region, the human capital to support that economic development, and as well, given that this area is very rich in agriculture and agri-food industry, our key sector focus is on that ag and agri-food sector. So next slide, please. So the next couple of slides, we did take some time to go through the strategic vision for Blandford Blenheim and just show where we align, where SCORE aligns with what you folks have identified as your priorities. So I won't go into detail on those because you do have those in your package, but we just wanted to draw some attention to that. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim, though, to specifically talk about some of the specific projects that SCORE is working on, and then we will wrap things up afterwards.
Thank you. Next slide, please. One more after that. Okay. So actually one more, please. I'll just jump sort of right into our projects. So our main projects, one more, please, sorry, have been inter-community transit. So we have worked with Rural Ontario Institute way back starting in 2011, 2012 to advocate for the province and the federal government how important it was to have inter-community transit across especially rural and small urban Ontario. What we were finding and hearing from our Employer One surveys is that not having an option for transit was becoming a barrier for employment and recruitment for employers. And so over the years we've done various things, and then in 2019 we were successful in getting the province to put some funding forward for a pilot program, and through that several communities received funding, and we coordinated those communities so that they had some consistent support. And now we are at another point of evolution where the province has terminated that pilot funding. They now have the OTIF funding, which is Ontario Transit Investment Fund, and we are making application to that. Our hope is that that we can have a regional view to look at coordinating transit across all the communities a little better, instead of having a transit coordinator in Middlesex and one in Tillsonburg and one in Elgin. It seems to make sense for the next evolution to be there. So we've had lots of conversations with MTO, and they've been very supportive of this model. And in fact, I'm going next Sunday to speak at the University of Toronto about rural transit. So, and that was at the invite of MTO. So they're quite supportive of that. Next slide, please. This is just a quick visual. It shows where all of the transit is. So you'll notice it's far and wide outside of this 5-county SCORE region. But what we found as we worked together as a SCORE region, that other rural communities were also interested in partnering and sharing and collaborating, and that's sort of how that wider footprint came about. Next slide, please. One of the other things that we've spent a significant amount of time on is reinstating, working with CN Rail and a local short line rail provider to reinstate the rail. And it's called the Cuga subdivision, and it runs from Norfolk County through the southern part of Oxford and into Elgin County. And it actually goes into the PowerCo SE site. And even though that is not in Southwest Oxford, one of the things that I like to point out is one of the businesses along that line is Alco, which is former IGCP, the grain ethanol plant. And I had a great conversation with the GM there, and he was saying, you know, if the rail was not in place there, they may have looked at other sites. And so what that does then is it would add additional cost and disrupt the supply chain for our grain farmers. So we found that to be a very important piece, and right now that's up and running. And again, that was instrumental in getting the PowerCo site, again, not specifically here in Blandford Blenheim or Oxford County, but certainly those big investments have that regional pull and that regional impact on all of us. So I think that's something to kind of update you on as well. So next slide, please. And I won't spend a lot of time on this one, but the just the revenue affected for the businesses along the line was somewhere around 170 million, and I think the actual GDP was somewhere around the 400 million mark. But just to give you an idea of the impact of that rail line. And next slide, please. One of the other things that SCORE has had some success in is the expansion of natural gas. So back in 2015, 2016, we were able to work with the province and had the opportunity to go speak in Toronto to support the expansion of the natural gas program in rural Ontario. Certainly we were not the only organization, but we were singled out for consultation. And that really was in support, again, of our manufacturing, also our rural residents, and our agricultural operations, which at the time, some of you remember back in 2016, energy costs were extremely high at that time, and it is still important, but that was a critical fulcrum point at that time. And more recently, we've worked with the province and supported the changes to what's called a leave to construct, which is a kind of administrative process where if someone wanted to come and invest in your community, if the build took $2 million or over, they had to go through another, it was called a leave to construct process, which was another 18 months on the build and was lengthy. And so we asked them and were successful in getting that updated to at least 10 million, something that was more in line with dollars of today. Next slide, please. This is not a SCORE initiative, but one that we have supported. Again, our partners at Rural Ontario Institute created a rural housing information system, and that is a tool for developers who are smaller scale or looking to support rural communities. So not necessarily those larger scale subdivisions that we may see in larger centers, but smaller. And I think that's important because it does demonstrate SCORE's ability not always to need to take the lead position, but sometimes to be in a supporting role and put forward that organization that should be in that lead role. Next slide, please. So the other focus of SCORE is human capital. So we work very closely with the colleges and universities in the region. We have 7 campuses across our region, and most recently I was asked to sit in on the strategic planning for Fanshawe College. And so those types of things I think are important to have that seat at the table regionally. And out of our work there, 2 programs that kind of come to mind. One at Fanshawe College, the Agribusiness Management programs offered both at the London campus and the Simcoe campus, and the Agricultural Equipment Operator program that was at the Conestoga campus in Brant. That is on a hiatus right now, but again, kind of speaks to the ability to respond directly to industry. And Next slide, please. We do partner with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, and here's two large campaigns that we've worked on with the OFA. And with that, I will actually turn it back over to Jennifer.
Thanks, Kim. Next slide, please. And actually, you can go right to the next one as well. So just taking a few minutes to do some looking ahead, we wanted to talk a little bit about the political engagement and influence. So again, in your package, there is a slide there that that outlines some of the delegations and advocacy efforts that we've had in recent months. But one of the things I wanted to draw attention to outside of this slide is the importance of a kind of a medium-sized regional group like SCORE. At times, so if I draw on my work life outside of council, I work for the Beef Farmers of Ontario, and often we are doing a lot of advocacy to the different ministries. Sometimes we go it alone because it's something specific to the beef industry. Other times we might partner with the other meat groups or livestock groups because we have common goals, common issues. And then other times we might work with a more broad group like the OFA to work across sectors for something that's a little bit more wide sweeping. But in each of those instances, we're very strategic on how we are approaching that. There's times when the biggest voice possible is great, but then there's also times where that medium-sized voice is good, and that's what SCORE really represents. It represents the opportunity to have 1 million residents' voices. So you have that power of the million behind you, but we still have a small enough group that we're nimble. There's 5 of us, so coming to consensus and getting on the same page as far as issues and challenges and solutions is a little bit more tenable than sometimes it can be in a much bigger group, like say AMO or even the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus. All of them have their strong points, but we wanted to make sure that the importance of kind of that mid-sized voice is not lost, because there's certainly some major value in that. And that's something we talk about at Brant as well when the conversation comes up. Next slide, please. So the other thing to draw some attention to, so obviously SCORE does a lot in terms of advocacy, but what's also important to recognize is that there's a lot of actual work done on the ground. So there's actually things happening, which is great, because Kim and her team, they work really hard to bring some of those projects to fruition. So it's not just ideas we talk about, but they actually try and get them in place. Next slide, please. So as far as the strategic advantages and why a group like SCORE still matters, again, what I just sort of outlined, it being that sort of medium-sized voice, but it's also a great opportunity to help address things like the global trade uncertainty. It really helps us to adapt and move forward as a region, but not a huge region, which is really helpful at times. Again, that regional voice, the inclusive collaboration, there's strength through shared insights and participation, and then obviously the reputation for success. SCORE is very trusted by a lot of the different ministries and partners alike. Kim and her team get pulled into all kinds of meetings outside of delegations and things like that, because their information, their opinions, their perspective is often very much valued by those ministries. Next slide, please. So as far as future projects and initiatives, obviously continuing the partnership building on the past successes with the Workforce Planning Board of Grand Erie, as well as the Elgin Middlesex Oxford Workforce Planning and Development Board. So they're working on building a business resource toolkit for employers. Obviously, there still continues to be some strong focus on agricultural sector, as well as supply chain resilience. And then also some advocacy around those growth-related issues, so something like education or schools, which obviously is not in the jurisdiction or purview of municipalities. However, as councillors and as the mayor, you'll know that's often one of the things you get yelled at the most about when it comes to things like growth. It's people are upset because there's not the schools that are built in order to keep up with the growth and that type of thing. So we'll be continuing to advocate for those types of issues as well. Next slide, please. So as far as the long-term strategic planning, the partnership creates immediate value, but more importantly, it's cumulative value over time, which is really good to see. Again, that action-oriented piece with the organization, lots of boots on the ground that are actually doing the work and putting the strategic planning into action. Again, widely recognized with a positive reputation as a region, which is very helpful for all of us. And we have the ability to tackle projects and issues that are larger in scale than one municipality can take on. So it's good to have kind of that strength in numbers. But yet we're still small enough that we can have that consensus and move forward on areas of focus, which is important. And of course, the ability to attract and leverage funding on a regional scale, which is also very helpful for things like the community transit that Kim spoke about earlier. So with that, that's what we have. We wanted to keep it as short and sweet as we possibly could to allow some time for questions, should there be any.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from council at all?
Just comment.
Okay.
Excellent presentation, by the way. I've always had you were mentioning the rail lines. There have been all sorts of abandoned rail lines throughout the province of Ontario. Seems to me over the years that was a tremendous waste on behalf of the provincial government, allowing those. I know some have been converted into trails, bicycle trails, horse trails, ATV trails, whatever, which is nice. It's good for exercise and recreation. But it seems to me they just disposed of a lot of waste that used for communication, for pipelines, like whether it's for power or natural gas or whatever. Those right-of-ways were already in existence, but now they're gone. Many of them had been turned back into agricultural fields or something else. So anyway, that's my complaint about what's gone on in the past, but it can't be undone. Once you lose these things, they're gone. So I keep up the good work. I think you're doing a great job and an excellent presentation. And there's tons of questions, but we just don't have time, I guess, today to answer them all.
Yeah. Anything else from council? Yeah. It did just the one thing that kind of popped out at me when I looked at the map is how big an empty spot there seems to be in this specific area for any kind of transit at all. Like you take, really on this side of Woodstock all the way to Kitchener, Cambridge to Brantford, it really pops out as like a hole right there that there isn't anything. And I know we had talked about at one time about possibly some sort of bus transit or something here, but I definitely, that jumped out to me that section is fairly empty in there. But anyway, well, thank you very much for your presentation. It was a good presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that the presentation from Kimberly Earls and Jennifer Kyle of SCORE EDC be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments? I think we've already made them. All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, and I think for the first time in a long time, we have no correspondence. General staff reports. Drew Davidson, Director of Protective Services. You're first of four.
Afternoon,
Welcome.
Council. Thank you. Here to the first report is to give you a monthly update for the month of August and the goings on in our department. We had the fire protection grant unveiled mid-August from the provincial government, and that ties into their next report that's going to be following here. Exciting news that it was doubled, so we'll get into that for what's being announced. And they gave us a deadline of the end of September to have it submitted. So we have been jumped on that, and we'll go over that in a few minutes here. So, but some exciting things that are coming that way. Working closely with our Director of Public Works on the Princeton project as they move towards the fire hall down there, and when they're pouring the curbs and working on the concrete. We knew that was coming, so we came up with a plan, and this week it actually did happen. So we have moved the apparatus and all the equipment out of the hall for hopefully not too long of a period of time, but a plan was put into place, and it came to fruition this week. So that was good. And then our bunker gear, as you can see, getting 67 sets of gear out for cleaning and maintenance was no small feat, but we were able to complete that over 4 rounds, so we'd like to thank everyone that was involved in that. With the, just with the dates down there, we do have one. Well, we'll go through them all. We have time. Firefighter recruitment night. We have that coming up next Tuesday night. We sent an invitation out to all council and CAO, so hopefully you're able to attend that down at the down at Station 82, which is Trumbull Station for those of you who need to know. Trumbull Fair coming up. I'm sure there's lots to talk about that. Fire Prevention Week. The Bright Safety Day is October the 4th, so it is the week prior to Plattsville's Safety Day on the 11th there. So that is the 4th to note there. And we've been working with the permits. I actually talked to one staff member today who was taking a burn permit out, and they were talking to the farmer, and they did a great job explaining what's required by the permit holder. I guess the response was, well, this is new. Well, it's not really new, but we're doing a better job of explaining it. So I'm happy to hear that part. So with that, that's the report for the month of August.
Thank you very much. Anything from council at all? Go ahead, Councillor Young.
Drew, I did see the invitation for the recruitment night. Is it for Bright and Trumbull?
That is correct.
Recruiting?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's one information night, but it is for the Bright Station and Drum.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else from council? Councillor Bambury?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the weather we've been having lately, everything's as dry as a bone. We're still issuing burn permits, I guess?
Right now, on a case-by-case basis. A lot of this, the ones that we're seeing right now, they have the area cleared. It's just dirt around there. It's stumps and brush that has been dried over the summer type ideas. So, I'm very confident with it. You know, the residents that are taking it out are very confident of what they're doing too.
Yeah, because everything's a tinderbox right now until we get some
Absolutely.
rain, even crops and whatever.
Yeah.
Anything else from council at all? One councillor I brought up tonight, just was curious, have you picked a night for your firefighter appreciation night, you know?
Yes, we're going to do it exactly the same as last year. So it's the second Thursday in November, which off the top of my head, I believe is the 13th. Yes, 13th.
13th of November?
Yeah. So that will be...
Not a Friday, is it?
No, it's a Thursday. Second Thursday of November, and we're going to try to keep it the same so that everyone can keep that going.
Just so we can put that in our calendars because they fill up pretty quick these days.
Yes, we're going to be sending that out shortly to our fire
No
workers
worries.
as well.
Lots of, I hate to start talking about Christmas time and all that stuff already in September, so.
Yeah, sure.
Anything else from council? No, thank you very much on your first one.
Be it hereby resolved that report FC 2513 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Bambury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. And your second report on the OFM grant.
Yes, so this is the Fire Protection Cancer Prevention Grant that was unveiled, started last year, where the provincial government announced that there was $30 million over 3 years, so they're doing $10 million each year. And to our great surprise, it was doubled this year. So instead of the 10 million, it's now 20 million. The way they calculate that is per station, is the way that it's allocated. So last year it was approximately $8,200 per station. We received $32,000 there with our stations. This year it's double that going forward. So last year we were able to put that against our decon washer, which has just been phenomenal. The way it does our air packs now and our masks, helmets. When we see the result, what we thought was clean before, and when it comes out, just night and day. So I know all the firefighters are very appreciative of that. So going forward and keeping the cancer prevention in mind, the framework that we have to go by, these are our recommendations of what we are going to apply the grant to this year. And in reading this afternoon, I went through it. I'm not going to go one to five here. I'm going to kind of jump around because I think it kind of makes a little more sense, and I apologize. I should have had this in a better order. But number 4 there. So we're going to start with the balaclavas that we have there. Right now we just have our regular balaclavas, and as we know, absorption through the skin is a main hazard, definitely around the neck area, face area. They have the new fibers that they come out with the balaclavas now and everything. but they're not cheap. They, everything comes with a cost. So this is one way of blanketing right across every firefighter, getting a new balaclava, protecting them that way. When we do get contaminated, when we do come out, how do we clean ourselves initially? Whether it's because they were in a fire and they pulled down a ceiling and there's insulation on them, there's carcinogens on them, what be it. So number one there, on-site decontamination. It's a shower, it's a pull-up shower, and then it's basically a shower in a kiddie pool. That's what it is. So you can hook it up to your truck. The firefighter can stand in there, full gear, rain head on it, hose. They get hosed down, washed down. There are mats in the bottom of this shower that collect that, and then any water that's left, you can have dump out on the road, and you can take back the mats to wash type idea. So we can get their gear half cleaned on site. Well, how do we get it back? So that's number 5, and that's the turnout bags. And these bags are specially designed that you can put the gear in there, the air pack that's been used goes in there, and once they're zipped up, nothing can off gas and get out, and you can't breathe anything else in type idea. So they have a video on there. They put a smoke bomb inside of it, let it off, and no smoke came out of these things. As you could read there, they're not stitched, they're actually welded.
Like the decontamination, the bags and the hoods and stuff. What kind of time frame are they? Like, are they something we have to replace every 5 years, 10 years, or?
Yeah, well, through right now, the washer that we've had in Plattsville is 10 years, and we still expect to get another 5 years out of that. So a lot of these items are at least have a shelf life of 15 years going forward. And the provincial government has indicated that a program, whatever it's going to look like going forward, this isn't just a one and done. They are going to help us moving forward. So I would expect that this burden isn't just on municipality once it's over with here in 3 years.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Anything else from council? No? Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that Report FC 2514 be received as information, and further, that council approve the allocation of this year's Ontario Firefighter Cancer Prevention Grant toward the proposed cancer prevention initiatives as outlined in the report.
Okay, can I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. And your third report is Camp 85.
Thank you. Yes, just a wrap up to a great week that we had back in July there. I want to thank everyone that was involved. It's hard to believe it was our third annual camp that we had through, and as everyone's well aware, it was our first time with the young men going through the program. We actually had 7 young ladies come back from previous camps to demonstrate and to help set up and take down, move equipment to the next station for the following day. So that was just fantastic. Just seeing the reaction again, it's not just the young ladies the first time, the boys were the same way. Once they got into it, just the expressions, and they couldn't wait to keep going. And you can't help but think that, out of some of these groups, we're going to get some of these people, applying. And I know for a fact that it's going to be very soon that we're going to have a few of the young ladies applying. They're just about to that age, and they're getting very excited. And that's coming from the young men as well. So the program has grown more than we could ever expect, and we're trying to stay up with it. We're learning each year. Again, the biggest challenge is the heat. how to do that? This year we were better in our food preparation, what we had as far as rehydration, that type of thing. We're constantly learning and trying to reevaluate and make it even better. We had some surprises this year. One of the big ones was at graduation. We had our MPP Ernie Hardiman show up and give a thank you speech at graduation. So that was really good. But again, none of this camp can happen. It's not just one person, a group of people, but everybody in this room, from the directors of each each department to council, firefighters, and the community. The meals were all donated. The donations at the last minute came in just from individual families and that type of thing, just how special it was. And maybe every other day I run into somebody and camp comes in. I just heard it again last night. One of our firefighters said, "Oh, I didn't even know my friend's little boy or son was in it," and they just had a wild time. So these stories are fantastic. I just want to share a couple things. Social media is a great thing, and I know Ernie Hardeman shared it on his social media. We have our township here, OPP, the Western Region, had a nice shout out when we were out there. The Brant Beacon did a nice article for us, and fortunately, that story from the Brant Beacon was picked up by the Canadian Firefighter magazine, and that goes out to almost every fire official across Canada, and it was featured in the magazine. And then it was subsequently put in they have a section that's called Just Good News, and that part was put in the Just Good News section too, so right across Canada. So I think that's phenomenal for Blandford Blenheim to have a program like that. So with that, we are looking again, so second week of July next year, we are looking at transferring back to having the young ladies, some new young ladies join us. So thank you again for all your support.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Drew. Any questions from council? No? Or comments? We'll do the questions and comments on this one. How's that?
Are we doing comments now?
Go ahead.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor. Daryl and I, we attended the graduation ceremony, and it's really inspiring to see the enthusiasm that these young guys emitted that day, especially with the heat. It was pretty warm that day, and the routine they went through was pretty impressive. But, we hear so much about young people nowadays, all the bad stuff, that's what we hear about. We don't hear about the good stuff. Mm-hmm. And this was certainly the good stuff. So I have a lot of faith in the future.
Absolutely. It's attracting the right, the opportunity. I think the one comment that we hear a lot as well is when the parents come to information night, they keep waiting to hear how much it is. What's this going to cost me?
Yeah.
And when they hear that it just costs them a pair of work boots, they're like, that's pretty incredible. So.
Yeah. Anything else from council? Yeah, unfortunately, I was away on holidays. And I think I'm going to probably be gone away on holidays the same week next year by the sounds of what our plans we're making. But no, it's I've had a couple people actually say how great it was, and it's nice to. I know there was a little bit of discussion about whether to keep it as young ladies or young men, and I know there was a little bit of flack about changing over, but I think it's fantastic that we can get every other year. I think it works really, really well, and I'm actually looking forward to one of these firefighter recruitment nights when we see some of these young people come forward and say, "Hey, I want to sign up for that." So kudos to you, and I know Michelle, your right hand over there, maybe both right and left, but to you too for getting this organized. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report FC 2515 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. We've already done comments. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, and your fourth one, capital expenditures.
Thank you. Yes, this is pertaining to the Princeton Station build, and it's a follow-up report to the FC 2511, which was the tender result section there. In there, there was a section by the engineer, and this is just kind of expand on that. There are some expenditures that weren't included in the tender, and I'll go over those for those reasons. And some of these items need to be now to continue with construction, and some we can talk about at capital time for 2026 as well. The first two items you'll see, radio antenna security system, you'll see them in there twice. Right now, the reason for that is because in 2025 they'll need to run the wires, and in 2026 they'll need to actually finish everything off. So regardless, we need the wires in the walls before they get closed up. The radio antenna is, that's by our company. It's called 5.9, and they look after all our antennas, all our wireless communication on the fire grounds and our towers in the community. So that's why that is separated and wasn't in the tender. Security system, they don't include that in the tender for the simple reason is they want the township to use who they want for security, and the onus is on that company to drill the holes in the millwork and in the door frames where they want it, instead of the contractor just guessing where they want the wires to be put. So that's why that was not included there. The hydro, spoke to the electrician who has started the process with Hydro One to get the layout now, because hopefully you've had a chance to go by the site, but they are moving just gangbusters out there right now, and there's concrete going in the ground, so they're able to start the layout process with Hydro One, so that has commenced. Natural gas, the mechanical division there has reached out to them. It has been in constant communication. Enbridge has been very, very good to work with, and by the end of the year, they will have the line up the road into the building, is what they're telling us. So they have all the sizing and calculations that they need on that front. So
How far does that gas line go up that road now? Is it?
this will be coming from the second house in from Oxford Road 3 and up.
Okay.
So, yeah, it does not go to the house that is just to the east of our building lot there. So, the last one, the well that we need to put in there. This came up with the county when it was circulated, as far as the water consumption. It just came up at the last minute for some reason, but they sized it so that we have enough potable water for the washrooms and the kitchen, that type of idea. And then they went, oh, you have a cistern that you need to fill too. Oh, you want to wash trucks there. We're not sure about this. So there was some discussion. We could use the line that was there, but we would only fill the cistern between midnight and 5 a.m. You could only wash one truck every hour. It's just, and the line for the cistern would have to be after the water meter. So you'd be paying to fill your cistern. So we put our heads together and came up with another solution, and we asked them, what if we just drill a well in the front, put a pressure system in that supplies the truck wash and the cistern, and then we don't have to worry about anything on your end? And they said, perfect. So that was our solution around that, so that's why that is included there. So in that part, that's the 25 items that are required right now to keep moving forward. The other items in 2026 we can discuss going forward, but as I say, a couple items are doubled up because of wires in the walls now and finishing later. Moving the sign from in front of the current hall to the new hall, that type of idea, are in there too. So with that, I can elaborate, or I can take any questions with that.
Any questions from council at all? I don't see any. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Tired of me
That was
talking, are you?
That was easy. Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that Report FC 2516 be received as information, and further that council authorizes staff to make the necessary 2025 Princeton Fire Station project expenditures in the amount of $122,000 as outlined in Report FC 2516, it being noted that listed 2025 project expenditures be funded from the fire reserve.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? Oh, sorry.
I just have a question. Does that 15,000 for the well and the drilling and the plumbing, does that include any water treatment? Because that's going to be pretty hard water you get out of there.
Yes, there is a provision. They were looking into it. They won't know until they actually have the water come out of the well when they drill it. There is a spot in the mechanical room for softener or whatever we need in that mechanical room.
Yeah. It could need more than a softener, maybe.
Yeah. So that could be added to the 2026 ask?
Yeah, we'll know at that point there. We were fortunate with the current station, when it was on well, we didn't require one, so it's hit or miss. We'll see what we come up with there.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Okay, our next report is Adam our drainage superintendent. Welcome, Adam.
Good afternoon, Council. I've got a petition report here. We received a signed petition for drainage works in the area of Lot 9 and 10, Concession 4 from John Pinenberg to provide an outlet for drainage. It is in the watershed historically known as the Sparks Drain. We received the petition back in December, and this is just an additional one to get it up, the drain up to another property.
Okay. Any questions from council at all? No, not seeing any. Okay.
Be it hereby resolved that report DS 2502 be received as information, and that council accepts the petition for drainage works for Lot 9 and 10, Concession 4, Blenheim, Township of Blandford Blenheim, from John Pinenberg in the affected area of the existing private Sparks Drain, and further, that the clerk notify the Grand River Conservation Authority that the Township of Blandford Blenheim has received a petition for drainage work, and that they intend to proceed with this petition.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? By Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you, Adam. Okay, and our next report is for Denise, who unfortunately is away at a function today, so our CEO, Josh Brick, will handle that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to members of council, this is an informational report from the treasurer just regarding the 2026 operating and capital budget deliberations. The recommendations that are included by the treasurer are in accordance with our budget development policy, which this council approved in July of 2024. And council will note that the 2026 budget deliberations looks like we're starting on October the 1st, and hoping that council can finalize the budget estimates on the township's end on the February 18th regular meeting of council. With that said, happy to answer any questions the council might have.
Any questions from council at all? I presume you'll send out a schedule for us all?
Yep.
I'll just make a comment. January 14th is my birthday that day, so I expect cake and stuff like that. Gifts are optional that day if you wish. I didn't see any nodding of hand, a lot of laughter. All right, go ahead.
Cake and binder.
Be it hereby resolved that report TR 2512 be received as information, and further, that council adopt the budget schedule for the 2026 operating and capital budgets set out in report TR 2512.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. And, okay, our next one is Kevin, our Deputy Clerk Communications Coordinator. Welcome, Kevin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I'm pleased to present report DC 2509, the Township of Blandford Blenheim Corporate Communications Plan 2025. This plan is a strategic, future-focused framework for how we engage with residents, council, staff, and our community partners. It aims to enhance transparency, consistency, and accessibility across all communication channels, while also aligning with our 2025 to 2028 strategic plan. Over the past year, we reviewed best practices and our current methods. We've identified improvements, balancing traditional and digital outreach, strengthening branding, and making information easier to find. The plan sets clear goals, timelines, and measurable outcomes to build public trust, support civic participation, and strengthen community connections. Key features of this plan are the strategic goals, which we will use to strengthen connections and participation, elevate council visibility, build a culture of transparency and respect, and expand inclusive channels, including emergency preparedness. The implementation, year one, we'll be updating brand guidelines, the website redesign, centralized communications calendar, and staff training and communications. Year two, we'll see expanded digital engagement, annual surveys, more rotating town halls, and a performance dashboard. Year three, we'll see an impact assessment, refreshed branding, enhanced accessibility, and an upcoming next 3 to 5 year roadmap. Monitoring will include analytics, engagement metrics, and surveys with semi-annual reviews and annual council reporting. Financial impacts will be managed within existing resources, with future funding requests brought forward through the budget process. And that concludes my staff report and the recommendations that council receive this report and adopt the plan as our guiding framework. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of council? Okay, yeah, I have a couple comments too. We'll wait to the comments. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report DC 2509 be received, and further, that council adopt the Township of Blandford Blenheim Corporate Communications Plan 2025 as presented in report DC 2509 as a guiding framework for communications.
Okay, can I get a mover and a second, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. Comments? Go ahead, Councillor Young.
I have mentioned this to you before, and I just want to give you kudos about our communication increase over the last little while in the social media world, and the website is looking great. But I loved everything about this communication plan. I think it was right on with kind of where our vision is and where we want to go. So it was great. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I got a couple comments. Yeah, when we were doing our strategic plan, as I mentioned to you, I think probably 80% of the time we heard their communication, you know, and this is perfect part, and absolutely same. Our social media site has, you know, it's really expanded on. Just one thing I wrote down here, I read it before and I never thought it to about now. I know next year we're talking about town halls. With it being an election year next year, I think is it May? Is it the end of May you have to put it in, or 1st of May?
Just in advance of nomination day.
Yeah, so I would think that any town halls we have should be before that nomination period, because I don't want it to become an election platform for anybody going. So just look into that. I think it's May for some reason is when you can sign up. So is that what you think? May 1st?
Yeah, May 1st or 2nd.
Yeah, so maybe just the thought for those town halls that we have anything beforehand and then nothing until after the election. I just happened to notice that. That made me think of that. So anything else? Okay, go ahead.
Carried or
Pardon?
all those in favor?
Oh, sorry. Yes, we've already done that. All those in favor? Opposed to nay, and that's carried. That's why you're here, to keep me in line. Okay, and your next report.
Yes, I'm excited to present Report DC 2512, recognizing the launch of Blandford Blenheim's redesigned municipal website. Our old site had reached the end of its life cycle, navigation was outdated, mobile responsiveness was limited, and user expectations had changed. Over the past several months, staff has worked with Oxford County Information Services, consulted department heads, and incorporated staff feedback and best practices to create a modern, user-focused site. Key improvements of this website update include improved usability, clearer navigation, better contrast and compatibility across devices, enhanced user experiences such as streamlined menus, faster search, and quick links to high-demand services, stronger branding, updated fonts, new township color palette and the township crest, integrated tools. We see social media feeds, e-scribe agendas and minutes with time-stamped videos and online forums, and a future-ready design. It's built for features like interactive mapping, budget dashboards, or emergency alerts. There were no additional redesign costs. Hosting and support remain within the existing budget. Staff will monitor analytics and feedback to guide ongoing improvements. That's the end of my report. I recommend that council formally recognize the website launch and direct staff to continue promoting and refining the site. And I welcome any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council? Nope, I see any again. Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report DC 2512 be received as information, and further, that council formally recognize the launch of the redesigned municipal website and direct staff to continue promoting the updated site through township communication channels and monitor website analytics and user feedback to guide ongoing improvements.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? Just a little bit from before too. It's very refreshing to see it new. It looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
And next, Sarah, Director of Corporate Services.
Good afternoon, members of council. You have before you DC 2510, the graphic image bylaw amendment report. In 2023, the Township of Blandford Blenheim passed a bylaw to regulate the delivery of such materials. Recent developments have raised concerns about the broadness of the current bylaw definition of graphic materials. So in order to mitigate legal risk and improve enforceability, staff are recommending to amend the existing graphic image delivery bylaw to include a more specific definition of graphic image. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions from council? Nope. It's a shame that we have to do this in our society today, period. Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report DC 2510 be received as information, and further that council amend bylaw 2354-2023, being a bylaw to regulate the delivery of graphic images in the Township of Blandford Blenheim.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. And your second one, our meeting schedule.
Yes. You have before you report number DC 2511, an update to the January 2026 council meeting schedule. Given that you've passed the budget schedule for January 2026 and the rest of the year, we'd like to bring forth this amendment to the January schedule. For 2026, the first Wednesday of the month in January falls on the 7th, which is the Friday preceding the meeting is the first day that the office reopens after the holiday break. As such, staff are recommending to cancel the first regular meeting of the month and add one meeting on January 14th, 2026.
Okay, any questions from council at all? Nope. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report DC 2511 be received as information, and that council meeting scheduled for January 7th, 2026 be canceled, and the following meetings be established for the month of January 2026. January 14th, 2026, regular meeting of council beginning at 4 p.m., and January 21st, 2026, third Wednesday of the month, operating budget and capital budget long-term capital plan meeting beginning at 10 a.m.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, thank you. Any reports from council members at all? I guess just about the Drumble Fair on this weekend is the only thing I can think of coming up. Hopefully the weather holds off. Anything else? Anybody? No? Okay. No unfinished business, no motions, no motion, new business, and we'll go into closed session on legal matters. If you can just let us know when we're there.
Be it hereby resolved that council move into closed session under the authority of 239 of the Municipal Act at 5:32 p.m. to discuss A, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239-2F, regarding legal matters.
Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And that's carried. Now you can close. Got ahead of myself. instead of county.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that council does now adjourn from closed session and resume into open session at 5:45 PM and reports the following. That council provided direction to the staff regarding report CAO 2523.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. And bylaws.
Be it hereby resolved, the following bylaws be now read a first and second time. A, bylaw 2513-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2354-2023, a bylaw to regulate delivery of graphic images in the township of Blandford Blenheim. And B, bylaw 2514-2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. And a third reading.
Be it hereby resolved, the following bylaws be now read a third and final time. Bylaw 2513-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2354-2023, a bylaw to regulate delivery of graphic images in the township of Blandford Blenheim. And B, bylaw 2514-2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Anything under other? And close her out.
Whereas business before council has been completed at 5:46 PM, be it hereby resolved that council adjourn to meet again on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at 4 PM.
Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you, Council.